Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Ubisoft, they're at it again. Huh, this is the trailer to Assassin's Creed Shadows. How's it doing? How is it doing? Oh, not very good. Very divisive. This is Ubisoft pandering to African Americans, I guess, because they're certainly not trying to appease Japanese people. So, what's the story here? Well, ladies and gentlemen, Assassin's Creed Shadows is set in feudal Japan, and this individual that you see here is a fictionalized version of Yasuke, who was said to be, we'll get to that, the first African or black samurai. Yes. Which is debatable. I know loads of people will reference a Smithsonian article about this. Not written by a scholar. Written by a contributor. Not a scholar. So that's not really something you should reference. In fact, what you should do is take a look and see the texts surrounding Yasuke or Yatsuke. Yeah, there's not really any. There's essentially none. And Yatsuke, has left no cultural impact on Japan at all. Quite literally at all. No reference, no temple, no statues, nothing. Nothing at all. Which is funny, because when we take a look at William Adams. Now, William Adams is an individual which you may not know about, but if you watch Shogun, you would have seen his somewhat dramatized life. With a different name, Blackthorn. But William Adams was an actual individual. The Mura Anjin. I probably butchered that. But this individual has a temple. He has statues. He's massively referenced within sort of Japanese history and textbooks. This is an individual which, Japan genuinely reveres and had a huge impact on feudal Japan during that time period. It was given a multitude of sort of titles during that period as well. Whereas, like I said, Yasuke, was but a man. Now, it is important. I mean, this is literally just Wikipedia, but it's important to note. I mean, this is completely true. This is actually completely true in terms of what they're saying here. It essentially was just kind of given to Oda Nobunaga, and Nobunaga kept the individual around because he found him somewhat entertaining, essentially as an exotic pet. Found him entertaining, found him interesting. He was a curiosity. Now, don't get me wrong, William Adams was a curiosity as well, but William Adams had a greater impact on Japan. He helped build the first Western-style navy for Japan. Pretty crazy, to be fair, if you're thinking about it from that sort of element. Like, that's mad. But yeah, like, cultural impact is important when you're trying to, I guess, choose characters that are important to play as. Now, this is an individual which, yes, is now part of Assassin's Creed Shadows. And people don't like it, basically. As you can see here, being ratioed, to be fair. Now, again, remember, Ubisoft is a company that does not like you. They don't want you to own their games. In fact, you essentially just rent games from them. That's what they want you to do. They don't like you at all. And they've gone massively woke. And this, make no mistake, is only here to appease African Americans. It's not here to appease Africans. It's not here to appease Japanese people, because Japanese people don't care about Yasuke or Yatsuke. He's essentially a nobody in Japan. So who's this for? African Americans. That's quite literally all it's for. All it is for. Which is a bizarre thing to do. And there's just hilarious things here. I mean, there's quite literally Japanese people here. As a Japanese man, I would have liked to have been able to play as a Japanese man during the Sengoku period to celebrate my history and culture. Well, buddy, you can't do that, you racist. You're not allowed. You must embrace African Americans. Because reasons, I guess. I don't really understand it, but that's apparently what we need to do now. And I mean, it continues. Again, another Japanese person here. Let me say one thing as a Japanese. Yasuke is a person who existed but is not even mentioned in Japanese textbooks. This is completely true. Mura Anjin in the drama Shogun has a grave, a statue, and a train station. Please know the difference. Yeah, someone who actually had cultural impact on Japan, whereas someone who, when they died, when Oda Nobunaga died, everything referencing Yasuke is gone. He completely disappears from all reference. Gone. Completely gone. He was never given a fief either. He was a sword bearer. He was an individual who, yes, had some element of respect. Not massive amount. Some, I guess. But he was kept around because Oda Nobunaga enjoyed talking to him. He found him interesting. That was it. There is no reference to him as this huge hulking samurai that would run around murdering people and, brilliant on the battlefield and all of these things. And even when you're referencing samurai, there are sort of two terms for that, right? There's the sort of hereditary term, which you get given a fief, you've got land, you've got a sort of a title in that regard, and it's passed down, right? So sort of a hereditary title. And yes, during that period of time, there wasn't. It was a little bit grey area. They were giving out samurai titles here, there, and sort of everywhere as well, because it was a bit of a rough time. And then you have just the sort of title which you were just kind of given. But yeah, again, this individual replies and was like, "Oh, we don't know anything about them except that Nobunaga Oda took blacks as his subordinates because they were a rarity. There is no discrimination, but there is nothing left in the literature. Hence, the anime and this game are nothing but parodies." And this is from a Japanese person who you'd think would know. You'd think they'd know. But this is someone which they're really desperately trying to push. Anime, movies. There's a movie coming out soon. This game. And it's all just to appease some African Americans because reasons. So this is not, and it's important as well to note, this is not quintessential feudal Japan. When you think of feudal Japan, you don't think of a black man running around, do you? You certainly shouldn't, anyway, if that is what you do, because otherwise you've just been indoctrinated into this nonsense. And they're using you. They're using you. And it's just sad. Keep lapping it up. Yeah, and people reply, "Couldn't care less, brother. Every country has history that is getting changed for games or movies or forgotten through time. Stop getting upset over such irrelevant things." No, I think it's fair to be somewhat upset by this because individuals will now take this, especially idiots today, will take this as someone who existed and did all of these things, and they certainly did not. They didn't get any close to doing any of these things. And we have here, Yasuke could easily be a strong supporting character that has a big side quest, but to put him in the center is weird. I mean, seriously, you guys can't find one Japanese man to pair up with Neo, to base one of your main protagonists in a game set in Japan. And that's why we know that this is quite literally just there to virtue signal. That's all it is. Yasuke in history, Oda Nobunaga's servant. He showed off like an exotic pet. This is true. This is very, very true. People get such in a tizzy about it. But when you think of feudal Japan, what comes to mind? It's certainly not a black man running around. And I think that's part of the issue here, is people want to play a game set in feudal Japan, which is quintessentially feudal Japan, which is the immediate things which spring to mind. So yeah, there are layers upon layers of subversion going here. But what it all boils down to is people just wanting to play a game that represents that time period quintessentially. So there you go. I mean, it's been ratioed, and this is Ubisoft, so they hate you anyway. I mean, I could go into Yasuke's history a little bit more, but it's wholly irrelevant, I guess. I mean, I've covered what really needed to be said. The Smithsonian article that people keep banging on about, that was a contributor, was not a scholar. It's nothing to be, that's to be laughed at, quite frankly. And yeah, the fact that he doesn't appear in essentially any anything to do with Japanese culture moving forwards from Oda Nobunaga's death, I think speaks volumes about his impact in Japan, be it back in feudal Japan or now. It's had absolutely zero cultural impact. If you really wanted to show a different historical figure, it should have been William Adams, an individual, the Anjin, that has helped shape Japan to what it eventually became, and is highly regarded and highly respected in Japan. Again, gravesite, statues, train station, not a small sum of things laid to praise to the individual. Anyway, there you go. Take care. Bye-bye now.